You think you are fighting with your partner, don't you? You think the conflict is between you and them. You see their behavior as irrational, frustrating, and impossible to understand. But what if the great psychologist Carl Jung was right? You've been told that men are from Mars and women are from Venus, that you are fundamentally different species. This is a comforting lie. It absolves you of all responsibility for the conflict. The truth is far more disturbing. The person you're really at war with is not your partner. It is a repressed, ghost-like version of the opposite sex living inside your own mind. This is not a relationship guide. This is an exorcism. You are about to learn Jung's dark truth about men and women. The war between the sexes is the longest and most costly war in human history. It is fought every day in millions of bedrooms and kitchens across the world. The casualties are broken hearts, shattered families, and a profound, knowing sense of loneliness. You are a soldier in this war. You see your partner not as an ally, but as the opposition. A puzzle you cannot solve. A code you cannot crack. Their emotional landscape is a foreign and hostile territory. Why do they act this way? Why can't they just be more like you? This question is the source of all your suffering, and it is based on a fatal misunderstanding. You believe you are a complete, whole entity, and your partner is a flawed, alien creature. Jung discovered that this is an illusion. Inside every man, there is an unconscious, undeveloped feminine part, the Anima. And inside every woman, there is an unconscious, undeveloped masculine part, the Animus. Today, we will turn on the lights in the basement of your psyche. We will journey through 3 stages. First, a case study of the war. Then, the diagnosis of the hidden enemy. And finally, the 3 stages of integration that can lead to peace. This is the story of Mark and Anna, a story you may find disturbingly familiar. Mark is a man of logic, a man of action. His world is built on facts, systems, and solutions. He is a classic representation of the masculine principle, the logos. He prides himself on being rational and in control. His greatest fear is to be seen as weak or emotional. Anna is a woman of feeling, a woman of connection. Her world is built on intuition, empathy, and the unspoken currents of emotion. She is a classic representation of the feminine principle, the eros. She prides herself on being caring and attuned to others. Her greatest fear is to be seen as cold or unloving. Anna comes home from a difficult day at work. She is upset. She needs to talk. She needs connection. She needs Mark to simply feel with her. But Mark's mind sees a problem that needs to be solved. "You should have just told your boss this," he says, offering a logical solution. Anna becomes more upset. She doesn't feel heard. She feels dismissed. "You never listen to my feelings." She cries. Mark sees this as irrationality. "I'm trying to help you," he retorts, frustrated. "Why are you being so emotional?" Do you see the trap? Mark is not fighting Anna. He is fighting his own, undeveloped anima. He has spent his whole life suppressing his own feelings, his own irrationality, seeing them as weak. When Anna presents him with her feelings, he is terrified. He is projecting his own disowned, shadow femininity onto her, and he despises it. He is trying to fix her, but he is really trying to kill the part of himself he cannot accept. And Anna? She is not just fighting Mark. She is fighting her Animus. She sees his logic and emotional distance not as a different way of being, but as a personal attack, a sign he doesn't care. She is projecting her own undeveloped masculine principle onto him. She wants him to be the perfect, all-knowing, all-feeling man, a fantasy figure, a god. And when the real, flawed man fails to live up to this impossible standard, she feels betrayed. Their argument is not a conversation between two people. It is a chaotic battle between four ghosts, all trapped in the same room. The enemy is not your partner. The enemy is your own psychological incompleteness. Because you have not developed your inner other, you are forced to seek it and then fight it in the outside world. A man who has not integrated his anima, his feminine side, will be unconsciously drawn to a woman who embodies it. But he will also be terrified by her. Her emotional depth will feel like a chaotic ocean threatening to drown his logical sandcastle. He will try to control her, to fix her, to make her more logical. He is trying to tame his own inner wildness by caging the woman in front of him. A woman who has not integrated her animus, her masculine side, will be unconsciously drawn to a man who embodies it. But she will also resent him. His independence will feel like abandonment. His logic will feel like a cold dismissal of her feelings. She will try to change him, to make him more emotionally available, to mold him into the perfect container for her feelings. She is trying to find her own inner structure by forcing the man in front of her to become her backbone. This is the tragic dance of projection. You fall in love with your own missing half, and then you spend the rest of your life trying to destroy it for not being you. The anima is the archetype of life itself. Carl Jung. To be at war with your anima or animus is to be at war with life itself. Do you recognize the ghosts in your own relationship? Do you see how you have been fighting a shadow? This realization is the beginning of peace. If you are ready to stop fighting your partner and start the real work of fighting for your own wholeness, write, "I am ending the war" in the comments. Let's see who is ready for a truce. The first stage of integration is to identify your primary projection. This is the emotional nuclear bomb in your relationships. It is the specific trait in the opposite sex that triggers a disproportionate, irrational, and explosive reaction in you. This is your personal red flag. For a man with a repressed anima, this trigger is often irrational emotion. He will have a visceral, contemptuous reaction to female tears, drama, or feelings that don't seem to have a logical cause. For a woman with a repressed animus, a common trigger is emotionless logic. She will have a powerful, angry reaction to a man's silence, his need for space, or his attempt to solve a problem with facts instead of feelings. What is your trigger? What is the one behavior that makes you see the entire opposite sex as a flawed, alien species? This trigger is not a random annoyance. It is a clue. It is a treasure map, and the X marks the spot of your own buried, undeveloped self. You must become a trigger detective. For the next week, your mission is to observe your reactions. When you feel that flash of anger or contempt towards your partner or any member of the opposite sex, stop. Do not react. Instead, take out a mental notebook and write down the specific trigger. Trigger identified: irrational emotionality. Trigger identified: cold logic. You are not judging them. You are gathering intelligence on the ghost within you. The second stage requires brutal honesty. You have identified the trait you despise in others. Now you must find its starving, neglected counterpart within yourself. You have spent your life building a fortress of identity. I am a logical man. I am a feeling woman. You have exiled the opposite principle to the shadowlands of your psyche. The man who hates irrational emotion in his partner must ask himself, where have I repressed my own feelings? Where have I cut myself off from my own intuition, my own grief, my own joy? He will find that his logical fortress is also a prison, a gray world devoid of color and life. The anger he feels towards his partner is the screaming of his own starving anima. The woman who hates cold logic in her partner must ask herself, where have I repressed my own masculine energy? Where have I abdicated my responsibility for my own structure, my own direction, my own logical thinking? She will find that her world of feeling, while beautiful, is also chaotic and dependent. The anger she feels towards her partner is the rage of her own sleeping animus, wanting to be awakened. For a woman, the typical danger emanating from the unconscious comes from the side of the animus. For a man, the danger comes from the anima. Carl Jung. The danger is not your partner. The danger is the unlived part of your own soul. You will now perform a shadow audit. Take the trigger you identified. Ask the unflinching question, what would my life look like if I allowed 10% more of this hated quality into my own being? If you are the logical man, what if you allowed yourself to be 10% more irrational, more spontaneous, more in touch with your feelings? If you are the feeling woman, what if you allowed yourself to be 10% more cold, more analytical, more structured, The terror you feel in response to this question is the measure of how much work you have to do. The final stage is integration. This is not about becoming a 50-50th hybrid. A man does not need to stop being masculine. A woman does not need to stop being feminine. It is about opening a channel of communication between the conscious personality and the unconscious other. It is about the king learning to listen to the advice of his mysterious foreign queen. It is about the queen learning to wield the sword of her royal guard. This is an internal process. It is the act of consciously making space for the other principle in your life. The logical man must schedule time for activities that have no point: art, music, unstructured play. He must learn to ask himself, how do I feel about this? And to listen to the answer, no matter how illogical it seems. The feeling woman must practice the art of structure. She must learn to use calendars and set goals. She must practice expressing her needs and opinions with a clear, logical structure, not just as a flood of emotion. She must learn to value her own analytical mind. By doing this, you stop demanding that your partner be your missing half. You are beginning the sacred work of becoming whole within yourself. You have been living your life as half a person. You have been searching for your missing part in the body and soul of another. You have demanded that they complete you, and you have hated them for failing. The great, liberating, and terrifying truth is this: the war between the sexes is a lie. There is only one war, the war for your own wholeness. And you have been fighting it on the wrong battlefield. The war ends today. The work begins now. This is your code for peace. Identify your trigger. Know the specific trait in the opposite sex that causes your irrational reaction. It is your map. Own your shadow. Find the corresponding undeveloped trait within yourself. That is the true enemy. Integrate through practice. Consciously make space for your inner other. The man must practice feeling. The woman must practice structure. A man who is at peace with his inner feminine does not need to control the women around him. He is free to love them as they are. A woman who is at peace with her inner masculine does not need a man to be her rock. She is her own mountain. This is the path to real love, not the desperate grasp of two half people trying to complete themselves, but the calm, powerful embrace of two whole individuals choosing to walk together. If you are ready to end the war and become whole, write "I am whole" in the comments below. Welcome to peace.